Hello, angels. Welcome back to the Better Gets podcast. We are officially in season 3. So, what I'm doing with this podcast is about every 10 or 11 episodes, I'm going to take a little seasonal break. And because it's been winter, I have been deeply cocooning and incubating and going through initiations. So, I wanted to come on here to share some of the initiatory process with you because I feel that it's rich with so many teachings and so many things that I teach on when it comes to love and union. And being devoted to being a vessel for these transmissions, for these messages, for these codes, I am continually taken through the real time experience and initiation so that I can really bring them forward in a way that's very true and fresh. So I'm just going to be super raw and allow myself to open. I didn't prepare anything for this. I just know that there's a conversation that's been happening in my head that really wants to be spoken and shared. You know, this is part of the ways in which we get to integrate experiences, talking about them, sharing about them, teaching about what we are learning in real time. So, I started my virtual monthly membership for women on January 1st. And this is something that I've had on my heart for a year and a half. And it finally felt like the moment to open it and to create it. And it's been beautiful. We have almost 30 women in there. If you're looking for a space where you can connect with other sisters, kindred sisters on this self-development path, on this spiritual path, on this path of love, then this is absolutely for you. I drip a weekly transmission in the space. We've got a new theme every month. And yeah, it's just going to keep getting better and better, as the saying goes. So, in the beginning of the year, when I decided to launch the vessel, I channeled, or before the beginning of the year, I channeled the entire curriculum for the entire year, meaning I have every week planned out for the rest of the year. I have every theme locked in. Every month we have a different feminine archetype. And this is what happens, am being taken through the real-time initiations to be able to bring these transmissions and these codes forward. So, our first month, Vessel of Devotion. When I channeled this month's theme, I was not thinking about relationship as much as I was thinking about mission. And so there was a big emphasis, there was a big focus on being devoted to the mission. And in that devotion to the mission, I lost devotion to my partner. This is a big thing that's happening in the female entrepreneur space, is getting so obsessed with our work and our mission that we forget that our mission is love. So we're not actually moving from love. There might be a subconscious desire to move to get love in the world, to get some sort of validation or prove our worth, right? And it can be very subtle and very sneaky. And the way in which we can detect if this pattern has crept up is if we are not feeling our own heart. Especially for the women who know that they can go to the depths of feeling. Our feeling is exquisite aliveness. It's what connects us with our divinity. It's what allows us to be the vessel. So in bringing through the first month, Vessel of Devotion to Mission, it wasn't about devotion to beloved, devotion to your man, devotion to love necessarily. So devotion to love is something that I'm always teaching and preaching. However, I sometimes fall out of it and I don't even realize that it's happened. And it's not very long before God humbles me back into remembrance. I always say we experience rupture to recapture the rapture of remembrance. And that remembrance is love, is our holy innocence, is our ability to feel life so deeply and to move from that space, to move from the heart. So my beloved at one point came to me and was like, Zoe, you are so in your entrepreneur energy. You are doing the thing, right? This is something he always wanted from me in the past. So I'll just share a little backstory. When Teddy and I were together, so most of you might know that we took a year and a half of the separation. And in the first portion of our relationship, we didn't realize that this is what was happening, but he really was kind of pushing me to be in my masculine. He wanted me to pay 50-50. He wanted me to make a shit ton of money. He wanted me to be able to hike the most rigorous, intense mountains possible and keep up with him. He wanted me to push myself at the gym. He wanted me to push myself. He wanted me to be a dude. He wanted me to be like him. And Alison Armstrong talks about this. Alison Armstrong has been studying male psychology for over 30 years and is devoted to healing the split between the sexes and helping women love men and love men well and love men into their greatness. And she says that men don't realize that they are, what is it? Oh, okay. Men see women as a less hairy man and women see men as a hairy woman. And what she means by that is that we don't realize that subconsciously we are projecting ourselves and our desires that we have as a female or masculine being, right, onto our partner, not realizing that their differences are actually what creates the attraction, and it's what creates this beautiful harmonization where his strengths are my weaknesses and my weaknesses are his strengths, and we are biologically designed for that polarity, that polarization. And our work is to come into the harmonization of the polarization within and without. And so this is where a lot of relationships there tends to be tension in relationships because we're not really aware of these relational dynamics. And the fact that when we are occupying those opposite poles, that is what creates the arc of polarity and attraction. And it's what attracted us to each other in the first place. When we start trying to change the other to be like self, we're not actually wanting to be in a relationship with another person. We're just wanting to be in a relationship with ourselves through the embodiment of another person. That takes away from the beauty of relating. The beauty of relating is the fact that we are such unique, dynamic, individual beings. We are source incarnate in this human form, and each one of us has a codex, a blueprint, an essence that we get to know. We get to know that flavor of divinity through each other. So he was trying to push me to be more like a man, and I wanted him to soften and be more emotional and tender and attuned to me and be more sensitive, right? I was trying to feminize him, which can be emasculating. And then this is the caveat: when we women try to feminize our men and then they actually become super feminine, we're super turned off. We don't feel their boundaries. We don't feel their backbone. We don't feel their masculinity and their leadership anymore because we've unenrolled them from it. We have programmed them to not feel like they're enough in their masculinity. So, to be able to surrender to the masculine in his leadership, to be able to crown him with our love is such an artful practice. And I really want to emphasize that it is a practice. Just like getting on the mat to do yoga, just like learning to ride a bike, just like going and doing reps at the gym. Or I'll use the example of I'm in a splits class right now, and my goal is to be able to do the full splits and to be able to just drop into them. And when I first started, I was very intimidated. I was very high off the ground, and I just kept coming back. And I kept doing the practice even when I didn't want to. And now I'm very, very close. And of course, if I don't continue to practice my splits, I'm going to not be as limber and I won't be able to do them as easily. So again, it's that practice, it's that repetition, and then it starts to become natural. And then you start to get into the rhythm of it. If I don't do yoga for a week, my body feels it and I crave being on my mat. I crave getting into my body. So recently, I went through a beautifully layered and challenging initiation back into my heart, back into my deep, deep feminine. I had become so consumed with my work, with my vision, with my mission that I was operating from my masculine. And although I still was connected to my feminine practices, I wasn't as deeply dropped into my body and my heart as I know myself to be. My core energetic signature is deeply, deeply loving and deeply, deeply embodied. And I did a lot of work to excavate that core signature and learn to live from it. And now being so far along on my entrepreneur path and having all of these visions as a multidimensional visionary, right? I have all these visions, I have all these ideas, I have all these things that I want to do. And if I continue to push against my natural rhythm and I'm not really connected to the intention behind what I'm doing, I've missed the entire point. Because then I'm in this subconscious space of trying to prove something to myself and to the world, but I'm not actually moving from my deepest heart. And that is my feminine power. That is the ultimate power. And it takes a lot of courage and faith to surrender into that power, to surrender into softness, which I call soft power. And this is the sweet spot of the feminine. So, at the beginning of the year, there were some things that were coming up. I was noticing where my energy was leaking away from the devotional container of my union, of my relationship. I actually just shared about this recently. Although I teach on union, I recently received a download that union means two humans that have entered the sacred covenant of marriage. They have gone through the ceremony of matrimony under God to be devoted to each other in union. Now, however your union wants to look, right? That is for you and your beloved to create the blueprint and the roadmap of. I believe that we are each here to create our most fairy tale union and life, right? That's something that I love to teach, is that you get to create your own fairy tale. You get to co-create with the divine your very own fairy tale. And the more you can be in your heart and go through the initiations with grace and compassion, grace and compassion for yourself as you move through the layers of protection that keep you from your heart. Just like Marianne Williamson says, everything is either coming from love or it's a call for love. But ultimately, everything is love in disguise. And Marianne Williamson teaches on A Course in Miracles. I know that if you've been following me for a while, you know that I quote her, and I quote A Return to Love, her book, which is a distillation of the teachings of A Course in Miracles, all the time. So I started noticing where my devotion was not fully locked in. And if devotion is wholeheartedness, in Gene Keys, Richard Rudd shares about how, and Gene Keys is your hologenetic profile, and there's 65 gene keys, but the gene key for devotion, the shadow of it, where we can get stuck, is half-heartedness. The gift, which is the next level up, is commitment. And then the siddhi, which is the exalted highest state of that gene key, is devotion. So a good barometer for if we are in devotion or not is looking at where our commitments are, and are we showing up half-heartedly? Or are we showing up with our whole damn heart? Because that is devotion. So I recognize this, and it was still very challenging for me to surrender. It was challenging for me to figure out how to take my hands off the wheel because I really had momentum. and I was going pretty fast, and I started really getting to know the roads and where I was going. And, that's the thing, is it was a very solo adventure, and I forgot about my union, right? In relationship, there are three entities. I would say four entities. There's me, there's him, there's the union, the relationship itself. I'm just so used to saying union. And I am on the road to getting married. So there is, that level of commitment. However, we're not at the city yet. So there's the entity of the relationship, and then there's God. And when we're too focused on one and we're not focused on the ecosystem, we don't have this holistic perspective of what we've chosen to enter into when we choose to be in partnership. So I recognized what was happening, and I couldn't logic my way out of it. The feminine is the path of feeling. And sometimes when we drown ourselves in our work and we have this momentum and we're hitting the gas and we have all these visions and we're making them happen, there's this subtle piece of not wanting to feel what needs to be felt, what's here in the field. It's a really great way to distract ourselves. We cannot be in our full femininity if we are distracted and if we are not feeling what is here in our body and here in our reality, if we can't feel our heart. And evolutionary relationship is the ultimate mirror and initiation for where we have barriered ourselves against love. And time again, we get to dissolve our ego. We get to dissolve the barriers that are keeping us from love. And we as women get to open ourselves to the provision that comes through our masculine counterpart. So when I used to hear this, I would get super triggered. Provision is being provided with something, whether that's insight or something physically or financially. It is the act of the masculine gifting us, providing us with something. And I like to see it as God gifting us through the masculine. And when we can start to heal our relationship with God the Father and with the masculine, the gifts, the beauty, the bounty, the protection that comes through, the provision that comes through is extraordinary. I have so many stories to share on this, especially that have been unfolding over the past couple years. Now, I will also share that I have always been very deeply connected to my femininity. It is a code that I came into incarnation with to share with women and to share with the world. I've always had men offer me things and experiences and support, and men who have expected nothing from me in return. Sometimes I say that and people roll their eyes, but it's true. I've had a really beautiful relationship with the masculine for the most part. Although my relationship with my father growing up was very challenging and went through really, really rocky and turbulent times. When I was 14 to 18, I had no contact with my dad, and we have healed our relationship to be really, really beautiful. He actually just sent me a picture of a drawing that I did when I was 7, and he just got it tattooed on his wrist. So there's been a lot of beautiful healing, and he's shown up for me in super incredible ways. I mean, him and my stepmom bought me a Tesla as an early Christmas present. And as many of you know, that's been my dream car for years. I've had it on my vision board for like 3 years. And when my previous car was stolen and set on fire with my dream license plate 777, I knew that my next car would be my dream car, because I could feel intuitively, okay, I've been initiated. I've been like a fucking phoenix with my car karma. And I know that the better it gets, the better it gets. That God wants what's best for me. So, lo and behold, God delivered through my father. God the Father delivered through my father. And God the Father continues to deliver now through my fiance and through the men in my life. An example of this, when I was not with my fiance at the Conscious Life Expo. I went to go speak there for the 6th time. And I had men around me the entire time asking to buy me a cacao or to buy me food. And I did not feel any leaky, creepy energy. Even the men that would hit on me, there was such an artful, kind way that they would do it. And that's the thing, is like with the masculine, the way that men approach me, the way that men quote unquote hit on me, even if they slip into my DMs, first of all, I'm engaged. But second of all, the energy that I hold, it is not the way it was when I was younger. There is an energy of respect. I do not get creepy men in my inboxes, and I know I'm divinely protected. I know I'm blessed and highly favored, not because I'm special, but because I am a daughter of the divine, and I've done so much rigorous devotional work to excavate that blueprint, to live from my truest truth, to be who I came here to be. And there is nothing more magnetic than that. Magnetic to resource, magnetic to opportunity, magnetic to the opposite sex, magnetic to life being fruitful, because you have found the gold within you and you are operating from that space. And when you lose sight of it, you do the work to come back to it, because you know that is your greatest gift to the world. You living your divine design fully. You living from love. So when my channel opens, she just goes all over the place and I let her do it. So we're going to go back to the story. I was not in my full heart in my relationship. And I kept trying to think about it. It was like story after story, mulling it over, moving from mind. And then February approaches, and this is the month of love. This is the month of Valentine's Day, of Galentine's Day. The number 2 month, right? 2 is the number of union, partnership, harmony. So in my membership, The Vessel, this is the month of the vessel of love. I'm like, okay. So it's been very abundantly clear that in the first month, right, which is a 1 month, 1 is all about sovereignty, independence. It was brought to my attention that my curriculum is to move into loving devotion, coming back to my devotional heart, coming back to my core essence. So as February was progressing, I have all the curriculum planned out. I know that week 3 is the King's Throne, which is all about throning your man, throning a king with your love, with your femininity, with your radiant aliveness, and the ways in which this nourishes his nervous system and inspires him. It inspires him to rise to new levels. It inspires him to go out and do his mission in a big, beautiful way, because he knows that he can rest in your love. His consciousness, the masculine is consciousness, the feminine is love at the core, or you can also say the masculine is truth, the feminine is love and radiance. And when you're in your love and radiance, his consciousness can come and rest in your love. It's like a bath for his soul. It's like nectar for his nervous system. And I wasn't in my full nectar in my relationship. So of course, God course corrected me in a big way, and through a series of helping me to disarm my heart again. For whatever reason, walls came up. I became very masculinized, and I got to be the real-time student of my curriculum. Something else I always teach, we each have a soul curriculum, and we have seasons, we have chapters. We are in the mystery school of life every single day. And there are levels to it. There are grades to it. And we graduate once we really get the lessons of that level, of that grade, of that season. So we had, quite a few conversations around repolarization. And we also both work from home. We're together pretty much all day, every day. Even though we're in our separate rooms, we can really feel each other. And so he asked me, babe, what would help you feel like you can be in your feminine again? And I said, baby, if you planned a date And if you take me out on that date and I don't know what it is, and I was like, how about for Valentine's Day, you plan the date and I just surrender. I get to dress up. I get to feel nice and get all pretty for you, and I get to surrender to your plan and to your leadership. So the reason why this is so attractive in partnership is because it is you inspiring him to take the lead without micromanaging, without controlling, without asking too many questions. It's you trusting him. And the only way that you can trust him is if you respect him. And the masculine thrives when he feels our respect and our trust in his capabilities, in his leadership. It actually inspires him to want to lead more. And our practice is to take our hands off the wheel, to surrender. And if you're not in relationship, it is to do this with God, with life. Okay, God, lead me. Show me the way. Show me your will over my will. Please make it abundantly clear what the next steps are. So he planned our date. I spent the day with my roses. I did a whole divine love kriya, and I spent my time in embodiment, and then I got dressed up. I wore this red velvet dress and this black coat with fur on it and this necklace my mom made me that has a locket with a red heart on it, and my little burgundy heels with the fur. And he takes me to this hotel. And we walk into the hotel. And of course, like, I'm in my head. I'm like, is this going to be a good time? Did he do it well? Da, 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 da. And I'm like checking my thoughts. And then he takes me to this hotel and I walk in and I feel like I'm in this movie from the 1920s. And I'm like in old New York. And immediately it just felt so cinematic. And I'm like, and I felt myself soften into the experience, into him. And he checks us in and he's so gentlemanly and dapper. And one of my biggest kinks is a gentleman, like chivalry, gentleman, opens the doors, takes care of things, like has this natural protector provider instinct. I also grew up with my dad having that. He opens all the doors. He pays for everything. He's very chivalrous. And he grew up in New York. So this was touching on that space of familiarity and safety and like masculinity in my mind, in my blueprint of masculinity. And we go up to our hotel room, and the hotel room is 1212, which was a beautiful angelic resonance. We didn't choose our hotel room. And now we see that number all the time. And it's the 1 and the 2, right? It's like sovereignty and self, but also union and partnership, and the way that they can coexist. They can be side by side. So we go into the room. I have a giant suitcase full of Venusian toys and ways to decorate the room to make it feel very romantic. And it's a Friday, which is Venus Day, like Valentine's Day on Venus Day. It was just so cosmically delicious. And I brought our heated massage buffer and a magenta pink blanket, a sheepskin fur throw, and these roses that you can light on fire. And I let my intuition guide me, right? As most of you know, I am a Venusian lover girl at heart, and I am here to connect with and work with the Venusian lover girls. And so much of it is intuition, is feeling what's going to create the set and setting, what's going to allow for us to anchor that frequency into whatever space that we are in. So we set up the hotel room, and then he takes me out to dinner, and he planned for us to go there so that we could get oysters, because oysters are aphrodisiacs. And my heart at this point is just so full, and I can feel myself slowly but surely softening, because I could feel how much love and attention he put into this date. He really thought it out, and it was deeply felt. So I sat there over oysters, and I just really, with so much presence and love, acknowledged him, acknowledged how thoughtful this date was, acknowledged him for how amazing he is with our puppy, like what an amazing daddy he is, acknowledged him for all the ways that he loves me and shows up for me and is patient with me in my process, and just all the ways that he is showing up. A lot of the time in relationship, especially long-term relationship, we tend to hyper focus on what's wrong with the other person or what they're not doing right. And we forget about all of the qualities that made us fall in love with that person in the first place, and all of the ways in which they truly enrich our lives. Now, in Teddy and I's case, it's a rare case where we spent a year and a half apart. So we got to experience in real time how much better our lives are with each other in it and together. So we can always kind of reference that time of separation and how excruciating it was and how challenging it was when we have these moments of rupture or dissonance come up. In that acknowledgement, I felt him just light up and really receive it and drink it in. And he shared with me what a gift that was. What a Valentine's Day gift it was to just experience my love and acknowledgement and my warmth and my radiance and my delightfulness. That's the word he will use often, is delight. So it really reconnected us in an intimate, clear way. And then we went back to our hotel room and he brought his professional camera because he's a photographer and videographer. And so he thought about that too. He knew that I was getting dressed up, and so he thought to bring his camera. And actually, before we went into the hotel room, we're in the lobby and there's like really amazing lighting and the scenery is just so classic. This hotel has been around for 100 years. And he starts doing a whole photo shoot of me down there on his phone and took really beautiful photos. It's one of my favorite photo shoots of all time. Super classy. And then we go up to the hotel room and I get into my lingerie and we start doing more of a sexy, sultry Venusian photo shoot in the bed. And then we made love for hours and hours. And it was so beautiful and decadent. And even after this beautiful experience together, I could still feel that there were some walls of resistance around my full heart and embodiment and femininity. I wasn't like I would say I dropped from my head down into my heart, but I wasn't fully dropped into my womb. And as women, it's about the descent. It's about descending from our head to our heart to our womb and living from that depth. From that depth is where we can receive the world and receive him and receive divine inspiration and come to our own gnosis and create what we want to create and create the world we want to create from the inside out. So I could feel that there was still, the initiation was not crystallized. So I surrendered to the process of being able to fully surrender. I surrendered to my surrender. When we're being initiated into surrender and back into our feminine depths is the journey. Again, you can't think your way through it. So the day after Valentine's Day, we went to a workshop out here called Devotion as Revolution that a dear sister, Kelsey Kazarian, came to do with Aubrey Marcus. And it was a really potent, I was resistant in some of the pieces, and there were so many pieces that were deep, deep reminders of the power of union and the power of softening. Things that I used to teach about all the time, and then I pivoted to be more about mission and dharma, and God was like, baby girl, baby angel, This is a big part of your path and calling and what you're here to teach. And you are in the real time process of understanding the depths of this curriculum. So after this workshop, I went home and I ate this chocolate cookie. And right after I ate this cookie, I felt so sick. And I was like, wow, babe, I feel like I need to throw up. And he was like, I think you just need to sleep. Like, I think you'll be okay. And I went to sleep, and my body woke me up 2 hours later at midnight, and I was violently throwing up for 10 hours, like every 20 minutes. So it was basically food poisoning, and it thawed me out. It cleared me out in such a deep, profound way. And as I was in the experience of it, I was in the experience of it being a ceremony, like an ayahuasca ceremony on steroids. And I felt all of the stories and all of the things that were holding me back in my relationship and holding me back from my depths, and like everything that wasn't love. I was purging, and being deeply with my body, because I couldn't distract myself. I couldn't just go and launch another offer or go and work on my things or distract myself from my own being. I got to descend into it in such a deep and rich and painful way, or a sensational way, an uncomfortable way. The sensation was very uncomfortable, and I got to be deeply with it. I basically I was floored. So I was on the floor for that entire night, and the entire next day. I could not eat anything. My stomach felt inverted. I don't like to say pain. I always say it's sensation, and it's our perspective on what that sensation is. However, pain is a way that we explain the level of discomfort of a sensation. So I was in pain the whole next day. I had aches and chills, and I just got to lay there and fully feel and notice when stories would try to come up or anything that was taking me out of my body, and really be with all of the sensations. I resensitized myself. And I basically was bedbound for 4 days. And in being bedbound, I was forced to do nothing. And in doing nothing, I got to really be with everything. And I got to really feel my heart, my body, and completely surrender. Completely surrender. I completely surrendered my work. I completely surrendered my to-do lists. I completely surrendered everything. And I was just like, okay, God. Okay, love. Show me. I'm here. I'm yours. And on that last day of being in bed, there was some like embodiment guilt coming up, being an embodiment guide and mentor, and someone devoted to embodiment, like not getting to move my body or meditate for days was starting to get to me. And then I had this download. No, baby girl, this is the embodiment. This is your truth right now. This is in highest service to your body right now. Just be. This is a practice I used to do all the time. But again, that masculine like really took the reins and just went for it, and really abandoned my feminine. So it was a process of it was a process of coming home to her and creating that inner safety to soften. And once I really locked into this, once I really softened into this and felt this, I just started crying from my heart and feeling life so deeply again, and feeling the love that I share with my beloved so deeply again, and the texture of that love, and feeling everything that pulses in the liminal space, and missing being in this space because I've lived in this space for so long, but I have a mission and a vision, and I knew that my masculine needed to come online in order to bring it through. And oh, did I miss my feminine? And this is what I teach on. So of course, I got to go through a profound initiation back into it. And it was raining outside, and I got to go out there and sing and let the rain come down and cleanse me and bring me back into my body even deeper. And I'm like, oh, here I am. And then I came back inside, and I snuggled up with my puppy by the fireplace and just allowed love to have its way with me. And I could feel the sentience of my relationship with my beloved. And the music on the Alexa was playing the soundtrack of our love. Songs I'd never heard before, but they are of the genre and the essence of the music that animates our love. I like to say that a relationship, a union, has its own essence. It has its own sentience. It has its own soundtrack. It is its own entity that you two are plugged into together. And sometimes when we unplug from it, we're too plugged into self, especially in long-term relationship, we forget the texture and flavor and soundtrack and essence of that, our love, of our connection, of our bond. So I was just deeply connecting to the sacred preciousness and the pulse of it, and feeling the yearning and the love as the muse, and allowing, and then I'm just like crying. I'm just bawling at this point. And as I'm bawling, I'm feeling myself coming home to myself in my heart. And I'm just like, oh, here I am. And as this whole process is happening, as I completely took my hands off the wheel, I am invited onto a podcast. I have a woman reaching out to me asking for one-on-one mentorship. She's like, I love your work. I love your embodiment. I can tell you've been on this path for a really long time. I want to work with you one-on-one. And money started flowing into my bank account from multiple streams. I got to go and do a guest teaching on a membership about love, about union, and share these fresh codes. And when my beloved came home, because he was away that day, I got to just look at him and reveal my heart through my eyes. Something he had been saying to me is, baby, I can't feel your heart. And the main thing the masculine wants to feel, the biggest gift to the masculine, is our heart. Is to be able to fully feel us in our heart and feel the texture and tonality of our femininity and our radiance and our aliveness and our warmth and our softness. Because he cannot access this by himself. It's a texture. Of course, he can tap into his femininity. And it's a very different experience to experience that through a woman. And this is our gift, is to be in our radiant aliveness, to allow him and the world to feel our heart. Our love is the gift. And sometimes it takes a really intense initiation to come back into the space of feeling, to come back into the heart, into the body. When I got sick, because I see everything as divine provision, and I know everything is here to serve my embodiment, my expansion, and the ways in which I'm here to serve the world, I knew that this was happening for a reason. And so I was the student of it. And that's something that I teach often, is that you get to be the student of your curriculum, especially those things that are undesirable, sticky, icky, and that just downright suck to the human. There's something in it for you to grow and evolve and expand. There is wisdom to be embodied through that experience. And because he provides for me and protects me in so many beautiful ways, when I drop back into the space of being in my devotional femininity, it was so easeful for me to come back into the space of wanting to honor him and gift to him and be in my femininity. And from that space of being in my heart, in my devotion, I got to pivot back to our relationship. And because I'm in the initiatory curriculum of the vessel of this membership that I've launched, right before I go to record for the King's Throne, I don't even put two and two together, but these initiations are happening simultaneously. These transmissions are happening simultaneously. What I'm receiving and what I'm about to gift to these women in this space, I intuitively feel inspired to write him a note, to write him a letter, deeply acknowledging him. because these thoughts happen all the time where I think about what an amazing puppy father he is, and how incredible his efficiency is, and how much he helps me with X, Y, and Z, and how he shows up here and how he shows up there and what I admire. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and write this out, and I'm going to deeply acknowledge him and reveal to him how much I see him and how much I think about these things. And I'm going to get it out of my head and onto paper, and I'm going to have this be my focus. My focus is on what he is doing right and how he is showing up in the ways in which he truly enriches my life and the man that he is and the man that he's become. Instead of nitpicking, getting annoyed when he doesn't put the toilet seat down or when he doesn't clean up his dishes or X, Y, and Z. It's like, okay, how easy is it for me to do those things, or playfully and lovingly let him know how good it feels when he locks the door at night, how protected and safe I feel when he locks the door at night, or when he puts the toilet seat down so that I don't fall into the toilet in the middle of the night. Our delivery, our way of communicating gets to be an art. It's such a big part of our femininity, is our ability to communicate from our heart, to communicate how these things will make us feel and the things that we love that he does. And trust me, I mean, there can tend to be a really strong resistance to this at first, to being in devotional love, to being devotional toward your man, to offering your femininity. But if you're with a man that you do not want to gift these things to, then chances are you are not in the right relationship. Because if you love, honor, and respect your man and you want to spend your life with him, then it's kind of a no-brainer to want to gift your feminine devotion and heart and love, right? Knowing how much that enhances not only his life, but yours. That it's sustenance, it's nutrients, it's love, it's fuel. So I just wanted to share this story because of the profundity of it. It was such a powerful initiation into my heart, into my feelings. One of the more profound ones that I've had. I've had so many profound initiations into the heart over my lifetime, especially over the last decade, because of my rigorous devotion to living as love and to this heart work. And that does not mean it's always easy or that I always get it right. I definitely fumble and have moments where I'm deeply, deeply, deeply humbled. And that's kind of the point. It helps us to have humility and to be the devoted students of love. So yeah, I don't do many solo podcast episodes. However, there's so much I want to share all the time. And sometimes I get in my head and I'm like, I don't know how beneficial it is for people to hear the play-by-play of my real life story. However, my life is the springboard and curriculum for what I get to teach. I do not want to regurgitate information that I'm learning from other people or reading in books. I want to share and teach on what I have actually lived and experienced, the codes that I actually have embodied. So that is why I like to share these experiences, so that there can be this relatability. And so that I'm not just here regurgitating someone else's polarity teachings or teachings on devotional union and masculine and feminine, that I am in the real time dance and inquiry and curriculum of this, and I'm devoted to it. I've always known that such a big part of my mission is to help unify the masculine and feminine within and without, to create real, true union. And so that people understand that fairy tale love is not just the thing of storybooks, but that storybooks and fairy tales are mused from real love. And that real love is real. So real. So, however I can be in service to you and your experience of love, that is my real mission. My real mission is love, is to be the student of love and then to teach on what I learn in whatever ways that I learn it. So, yes. Thank you for tuning into this episode. I am so excited to get this new season started. I already have a really beautiful lineup for it. And yeah, just sending you so much love. And if there's ever any feedback or anything that you would like me to speak into, please just reach out to me on Instagram at Zoe Dane, Zoedane, and we'll connect. I would love to hear what your experience of this podcast has been. Let me know if there are any guests you want me to have on, or if there's any topics that you would like to hear being explored more on this podcast. It's truly here to serve you as you continue to live your most romantic fairy tale life. Because I promise it's your birthright. So yeah, sending you so much love.